Right, so what's in your energy today? Okay, so I think the angels are going to be giving you a surprise, because when I cut this deck it said surprise, and when I was shuffling another deck, surprise kept flashing out. And I think this surprise is as a result of you putting up some boundaries against some bonds that weren't good for you. Um, Although there's a few cards here that are suggesting to me that a bit of like practical advice, because basically your ancestors and angels are sending you signs, but we do have believe out here, and it's making me feel like you could do with believing those signs a little bit more, not brushing them, letting them brush past you, because essentially you've let go of bonds, karmic bonds that were impacting your health in some way, okay, and possibly your luck. And things are getting better for you, but things will get better and even better if you start to believe those signs and believe you deserve good, and so you can receive the good. It's also like you become a clearer channel. And there's some advice cards here, which is obviously what spirit wants you to know, which is if it's out of your control, you can let it go. Okay. The mind loves to think it can solve everything, and it goes round and round and round, but all you're doing is winding yourself up. So when you find yourself in those loops, and the mind loves to sort of chew on that bone, but essentially that bone can't be chewed, it can't be solved, it doesn't dissolve, it doesn't, you can't eat that bone, it will always be there. So it's sort of a case of deciding not to chew it anymore. So if you do find yourself in those situations, try to remember, if you can't control it, let it go, so you're not working yourself up when you don't have to. And of course these things are easier said than done, but you can ask your angels to help you, because obviously they brought it out to sort of nudge you in that direction, so they should be willing and ready to help you. So basically you were around energies that, to me, possibly were two-faced. Like they showed you one face, but they really felt another way. And it could involve family, because I've got a family card out here. You put boundaries up with these people, but I essentially it looks like they were manipulative in some way, whether that was deliberately breadcrumbing you, laughing at you, it's something, or being just outright manipulative. But essentially we've got two envy cards out here, and it's never nice to know that people have envy, but spirit does want you to know that, and it does happen from insecure, low vibrational people, and this was the core of the reason why this was going on. One of the ways that you might be able to identify who these people could be is if you've ever said anything that sort of I can't know if I'm going to say it right, depreciative, am I saying that right? Probably haven't spelt it right either. Deprecating, I think that's, yes, sorry. Yeah, so if you say things that aren't, particular, like, I don't know, you say something that's not very nice about yourself, and you find the other person really enjoys that, okay, that's a sign of the spirit said your enemies are. Okay, it's quite harsh. I guess we do have them. In life, it does happen. Yeah, so if you find yourself saying comments, or try not to do that to yourself, by the way, if you can. I mean, that we all have days, I suppose, where you feel less good about yourself, and you do say, oh, I look a state, or you'll say something maybe even funny, but if you can try not to do that, just because it's it doesn't help the vibration. But I suspect these people, when you did do things like that, they loved it, and that's a kind of way for you to sort of understand what they're truly feeling about you. And it's not really about you, it's about them, it's them in relation to you. But any good person that really cared about you wouldn't find that funny, or wouldn't want to join in. They would say no, or like, don't say, that's not true, don't say that, like somebody that's on your team. Right, also a little bit advice from your angels and ancestors is, and it goes a bit, it sort of backs off this really, if it's out of your control, let it go. Spirit's advising you to have like a verbal mind rubbish bin. Okay, so if you have maybe even thoughts about this, maybe it feels uncomfortable, you start feeling annoyed about how you start clocking more and more how they're manipulative or withholding or breadcrumbing, and it niggles you, or worse than that. Or your own mind plays things on you to just to chew that bone, and you're struggling to let it go. Imagine a sort of bin with a ring of violet fire around it, and ask your angels to help you. And imagine putting that thoughts, like whatever the situation is, what that looks like, into that bin, and imagine the violet fire transmuting that into love and light, so you can release it from your energy field, from your orbit. It doesn't mean it goes straight away, but you might have to do it several times. You might have to do it for a period of time, but just to loosen the grip, so it sort of dislodges from your energy field a little bit more. If that is the case, it might not be for all of you. So essentially, you were able to let go of these people because you started to realize that you don't need them. There was a time where your energy field was chasing these energies, chasing their validation, chasing for them to give you something that you were finally learned that you could give yourself, or the divine could give you. And that's not the case anymore. That's not where you are. And if you are, that's going to change. Okay. You are seen as a loss, and people are missing you, but they're also aware that they pushed you away due to insecurity or this envy nature, or both, more than likely. But what it says here is that they pushed you away to test you, but essentially you learned that you don't like exam conditions. Okay, so maybe you did feel like a bit scrutinized and watched over and analyzed, and exam conditions aren't comfortable. Yeah, when you take an exam, it needs to be done, but you don't want to be in dynamics that are supposed to be safe and nurturing and kind, to have that energy about them. So maybe there was an energy like that. You're constantly having to just, what would you call that, like defend yourself, and just uncomfortable. The energy is just uncomfortable. But essentially, these people are underestimating how important you are in their life. They can feel that you're sort of putting them in this bin, and it's not to put them in the bin and it's more like to transmute the energy, so it doesn't live in your body, it doesn't live in your orbit. And they're realizing this, and because you've done this, now they can see their mistakes. Okay. In a way they weren't before. They just weren't, because possibly you were laughing along when you said something that wasn't very nice about yourself, and they laughed too. And perhaps there was a time you were sort of in this energy because you hadn't stepped in to your self-worth the way you have now. And it doesn't mean that you can never have a joke. You've got to always be serious and only ever say wonderful things about yourself, and never admit a mistake, or you know what I mean. It's not that. It's just if it's something you find yourself doing quite regularly, and I would advise, and I think your angels are nudging you to try and step away from that, if that seems to be part of your the dynamic with yourself. You deserve better than that, and it's probably something you learnt because you had insecure people around you. It says you're eating like you love yourself, so perhaps you've incorporated new things in your diet, supplements, maybe more herbal tea, or you do always eat very healthy, or you're going to be, but the angels are happy about that. And if you sort of feel like, well, no, I've only ate rubbish today, and actually I ate rubbish a couple of days ago too, that's fine. Very often spiritual people, when you're in a spiritual place, sometimes you need a lot of sugar to ground yourself. I'm not advising you eat lots of sugar, but that's often sometimes what can happen. So maybe if that is the case and you do have a bit of a sweet tooth, maybe reach for fruit instead. But it's just a nudge from spirit. You don't ever have to take any of these messages. So you could have a divine masculine in your energy who's also part of these bonds, as well as these family members or people you considered like family. They're surprised about your spiritual gifts, and you're in this Queen of Pentacles energy now, which is, I think you're just setting the scene and your environment to be more conducive to what it is that you want in your life. I'm feeling a bit like luxury, safety. I know it sounds small, but you know, you've got plenty of herbal tea. You drink it out of a nice mug that you like. You've got those nice cozy socks. You've got a book to read, and of course it could be much bigger things. But I just feel like you have that hand cream now, or you know, it's just like you're looking after yourself in a way that you weren't able to because you had all this heavy energy around you that basically had envy, which is like despising, you know, like, and when you've got that in your energy field, and now they were pushing you away. You were kind of pushing your own self away, what you wanted, but now you've pushed back. They're on the periphery of your energy field, and now they can make the realizations that they couldn't have made. And one of those realizations is that they're starting to believe in higher power in a way that they didn't before, because you're going to be getting luck. And I think this lands on surprise, really. Something's going to happen. Let's see if Spirit tells us eventually what's going to happen. But yeah, I mean, it could be small things, you know. Surprises don't always have to be these big massive things, although that's quite nice too. But like I've mentioned before in other videos, it is the small things that make up life. Okay, right, so you could have somebody coming back who's a bit of a prankster, I'm hearing, in energy, and they want to come back and be faithful to you. It says, I can be faithful. Okay, so that wasn't the surprise I was feeling. I felt like Spirit was, I think you might have a couple of surprises, but I do feel like that might surprise you, that they're actually thinking about this. And we do have Divine Masculine out here, but I'm also being led to tell you don't need this person. So, you know, like, you're going to be finding your own surprises, you know, in your journey. You don't need them the way you once did. And if you feel like you'd be compromising yourself in any way, like your integrity or something like this, you don't have to take them. But there is a 222 here, which does make me think twin flame, high level soulmates. But again, put that where it fits. It doesn't have to be romantic. And, you know, if it's not romantic, it means, you know, they're going to honour the bonds. They're going to do the responsible thing. Yeah, you got new family coming. And I think that rhymes well, because it looks like you could have been letting go of people that you considered family or were family. But essentially, there was a karmic nature to the bonds that you had to rid yourself of with Spirit. Spirit didn't want this in your energy field. They had to go in this rubbish bin too, because they were two-faced. And when I say rubbish bin, I don't mean like you know, you discard them, you don't care about them whatsoever. I mean, for some of you that may well be the case, but I think more about this, like this violet fire bin that actually will transmute the energy, so it's away from it's not in your orbit the way it has been. Yes, we've got 2 gift cards out here and a surprise. So it says here people are scared of your gifts. So maybe you would often come out with things and, you know, it's on the mark. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, these people were impacting your energy. And I think your zest for life. And maybe you're still in a bit of a... Is that right word? Luggish? You're in a bit of a sluggish feeling right now because you're just coming out of it, or you're just leaving that behind. So I am sort of getting that metaphor of, you know, coming off the mountain. You do need to rest a bit, and I think it's something like that. You are in the like limbo phase, in between phase, before you step into this better energy. Or not, you may have just come out of it. But giving the cards sort of suggesting what to do here, you know, like little nudges from spirits, it could well be. Yeah, so glowing came out earlier. So you have a glow about you, and it's probably from your divine. And now that you're actually listening to yourself and looking after yourself, I suspect the people you've left behind needed quite a lot of attention, and if it's not that, there was a time you believed you needed their attention, but I think you recognise them as deceptive now. They don't have to be full-blown deceptive. They could just be just a little bit deceptive, you know, to themselves. And, you know, not everyone is totally honest with themselves. And they could have been materialistic in nature. Yeah. They just genuinely thought that you needed them. They did rate themselves quite highly in your energy field. Yeah, so I do think you've blocked these energies. Yeah, so you've got new family on the way and magical people on the way. Maybe this will be the surprise, you're part of the surprise. Yeah, and these people aren't going to make you feel powerless. These new people, this new family, these new magical people, they have no desire to. Whereas I think there were other people that were competing with you, being comparative, possibly putting you down. And these new people, that's just not going to happen. And maybe that'll be a surprise to you to actually meet people that don't need to do that. You know, like you can mention some good news and the energy doesn't drop. They don't start then telling you about their good news. You know, that happened 6 months ago to try to compete. You know, like because you weren't competing anyway. You know, that kind of energy. Yeah, these people can't believe they've lost you, or person. I did feel divine masculine there. Thank you, Spirit. So Violet Fire's out again, which brings me to this verbal rubbish mind bin that you can make. So if you do feel like these energies are coming in, put it in the Violet Fire and ask for it to be transmuted. So these new energies can come in, like it's sort of like a channel, you know, like I just imagine like a pipe, you know. So if you've got all this residue in it, the clean water is it could be contaminated a little bit. It's, you know, so the Violet Fire can sort of clear it as much as possible. But yeah, listen to your own heart. So if there's anything I'm saying and you're just like, well, I don't want to do that, you don't have to. It's just nudges from Spirit. Anything else, Spirit, for the highest good of all? Yeah, I think you're going to find your passion coming back, and I'm feeling like for yourself, you're going to start recognizing and realizing what it is that you like more, and what you know, what you enjoy more, and things like this. Tapped in has come out again, as that came out quite a fair bit yesterday. Maybe you'll be doing this a bit more spiritual work. Maybe that will be the surprise. You'll be giving more gifts, and your energy is going to increase. So we've got the energy being impacted by these energies, but your energy is going to increase, and this new family, new magical people are on their way. And again, it could be all sorts of things, you know, like you could find a motivational speaker or a great book, or a real life, you know, like it can be, the Spirit works in all sorts of ways. Messages for the collective, please, Spirit, in God's will, for the highest good of all. Yeah. Okay, so you do have somebody, possibly the divine masculine, to be honest, that is frozen in their obsession for you. But you could have some other energies like that too, in your energy fields. Perhaps that's why they were doing this in the first place. They did, you know, they did really like your energy. They liked clinging on to your energy, but they wanted to decrease it. They wanted to squash you down. It's the feeling I get. Fit you into a little box to make themselves feel better or something. Yeah, these people didn't give you anything that you like. They didn't give you what you deserved. I'm hearing they were taking the PISS, and maybe that's why this is here, this Violet Fire, because sometimes you're going to remember this. And it's going to niggle you, if not annoy you or upset you or hurt you. So do call on Violet Fire and your angels and Archangel Michael. Yeah, but you've got rid of this. This was essentially unhealthy for you. Toxic has come upside down because this is the past, but it could still be coming in, especially if they're obsessed with your energy. It could cling. Oh, tell me more about that, please, Spirit. I think you're illuminated to what was going on in your energy field more than you were before. I think you had to have fog going on because it was too painful at one point. Yeah, but now you've got a magnifying glass, and maybe that magnifying glass could upset you, you know, like, but please remember, it's nothing to do with you, not in like it in a way like you don't deserve for it to be anything about you. It's about them. You know, people behave about the way people behave, it's about them. It's and you were probably just lovely and giving and heartfelt and didn't particularly retaliate, and you know, so you're a soft place to land for their shadow to land, and they took advantage of that, and it became unhealthy for you. I just saw jealousy flash out. Yeah, these people aren't as spiritual as you, because I saw ascended upside down. Right, okay, thank you, Spirit. So with these new people coming in, and again, it could be, like I said before, it could be books, it could be, you know, a documentary you watch, and it, you know, it sparks something off, and you do, you know, anyway, I'm sure you know what I mean there. Just watch how the angels do it, because it's not always linear. It's not usually not what you expect. But you're not going to have this repeat again. This is over. Okay, that energy's over. That it doesn't belong in your Queen of Pentacles status that you're in, where you're looking after yourself, you're creating safety, you're into creativity, whatever that looks like. You know, maybe you're making your own hand cream, maybe you're getting those essential oils, and I don't know, it feels like it could be small things as well, just to soften your life up. But yeah, there's no more deja vu. You won't get deja vu of like, oh, here we go again, you know, somebody give me a little dig, or when I say good news, you can just feel the energy drop. That's gone, it's over. And maybe if you do, you know, you do recognize that happening, it's a message for you to, you know, make sure you don't ignore that, put it in the violet fire and walk away, because you've done that. You don't need to go around that lesson again. Okay, present, spiritual gifts, surprise and present. I mean, obviously that's about being present, which is a gift. Being present is a gift. But I do think something's coming. Something's coming. Some of you, I think for Valentine's Day, you're going to maybe get something from somebody which you'll be surprised about. I felt a bit red in the cheeks then, so I think you might be a little bit bashful or something. And if it's not that, you know, not everyone's interested in Valentine's Day, and all of those sorts of things. You know, it's quite a commercial event, even though it is based on, you know, more historic situations than that. This person is divine masculine, sees you as their muse, and they are locked in to your energy, even if you've blocked them, or, you know, you've recognized your worth and you've gone above them in terms of ascending to energies, Queen of Pentacle energies, what, you know, knowing what you deserve. But they are locked into you, in quite a severe way, I'm hearing. Yeah, I think they feel trapped. Like the thought of you brings up adrenaline for them. I don't love the energy though. I'm gonna admit, they're not that in. They want to do non-sacred things to you, let's say. But you know, I suppose fornication is what makes life, but it was something of that nature. Yeah, so this person was blind to the signs before. Maybe this divine masculine's waking up a little bit, but they still have quite a sort of risque nature. And they fantasize about you. But they were blind to these signs before you. And now you're gone, so I think they see you as sort of like forbidden now that you're sort of just a memory. And they sort of feel trapped in it. And they do have a lot of lustful love for you. Can I tap out of that energy, please, Spirit? Yeah, you've moved on from this because they're an upside down emperor to you. I was brought to this word here, rubbish. I think you just see it as rubbish. And that's not to say they are rubbish, but you're looking for something of a slightly higher value than that. I don't think you're looking for a good night. You know, like that's the kind of energy they're at. I'm not saying that's all they see you as, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's all they see everyone as. And you're one of them. Yeah, I saw Seven of Swords flash. They want your love back, but I still don't think they're going to be helpful to you. Or yeah, you've called an ending to this. It's death cards. I think you feel like they've got too many secrets, or you just wouldn't know where you stood. Yeah, that was divine judgment that you made that call. They were a magician in your life, and now they can't be. They were manipulative, but they're now trapped because it's like you trapped them at their own game. But of course you would, because you're the upright. You're upright. They're upside down. Do you see what I mean? So you're working from a better vantage point, even though they thought they were. Could have something to do with a fire sign. It doesn't have to be, but we've got violet, fire, King of Wands. Tell me more about that, please, Spirit. The Divine Collective in God's will. Yeah, they're an upside down emperor, but I don't think they used to be quite content with all their options. It's Archangel Michael. Yeah, they used to be content with all their options, but I think they put you on the pedestal now. Perhaps they always did, but they liked their menu, you know, of all different options or something. Yeah, they might be quite insecure around you, around your energy. If it's a divine connection, you know, you can feel insecure. Maybe this person doesn't feel good enough for you, like good enough to be in a relationship, because yeah, I mean, Three of Cups can be union, but it also can mean third parties. But I think it was both. They were too insecure to give you union, even if it didn't look like that. You know, it looked like they were just living it up with all their third parties and all their options, whether it's money, job, or whatever, or other people, things. And now you've moved on. You're not delaying yourself anymore. They put you in the Eight of Swords, but they wanted you there. So yeah, you've ended that. But they're essentially quite bored and just in memories. Got memories, Six of Cups. They're just they're trapped in the memory of you. I think what's happening is that they're probably meeting a lot of, you know, to try and get over your energy. They're meeting a lot of people, but it's not matching your energy. And like it's like the more and more, I wouldn't be surprised if Spirit's deliberately doing it. So they're like, oh, this one's a good one. This one, you know, will make me feel less trapped about the muse that I can't have and didn't treat well. And then they're sort of like, oh, you know, like I don't know, like they say something and they're like, oh, like it's like it's almost like a comedy, like God has been like divinely funny to them. You know, not where they're not in favor, and it's because you were so patient with the energy and they didn't offer you anything substantial. Now you don't see it even as an option anymore. Like you're not waiting for this, but it is in your energy field, but it did just bring you unhappiness. Overall, if you were to balance it out, it was more unhappy than happiness. Yeah, and it's because essentially this person cannot be happy. Like they don't like anything on that menu. Like um it's not that they don't like, yeah, they don't. I think they live in a bit of fantasy land. Like it's now your energy's gone. They're sort of like, oh, that was the best food I ever had, and you probably were. But once they get that food, they'll be like, what about that other piece of food? Do you know what I mean? They're just not satisfied. But it did say I can be faithful, didn't it? Twin flame here. Tell me more, please, Spirit. The divine masculine shining out again. Yeah, the pretending to be happy. Got divine feminine and divine masculine showing out. Perhaps you taught them a karmic lesson too. I think by ending it, they could be calling you a covert narcissist because they didn't think that you would do that. Do you know what I mean? You were just so loving and like cup of love and understanding and doing your best, and now you're not. It's like, well, there's just I didn't know that, so they're just a narcissist. Capricorn death card again. It doesn't have to be that, but it has come out, and that's what it is in the tarot. Yeah, yeah. I think got chosen out here. I think they're recognizing the spiritual nature on you. I mean, we're all chosen. That's why we're here. You know, God made us all, but some people have spiritual gifts in a way that others don't. You know, and God allows that to happen. I better stop because it's carrying on. Yeah, when they do cut, the people you've let go are not as awakened as you. But it says he's coming back awakened, but it was on the side. So I think that's where they are now. They're in a sort of limbo stage. They know who you are in a way they can't deny, but they're still tethered to their ego and the third parties, whatever that is, money, influences, something. Yeah, and they're not trusting the process. But they recognise what you brought to the table in a way they weren't before. And it was their favourite food. is the energy I'm getting. What should I leave out on Spirit? Twin flames. So I've got 2 twin flame cards out here. So yeah. Yeah, they don't want you to be single. They're really jealous about that. Yeah, because they have emotions for you. I think that's what they're recognising. Maybe they got into a pattern where they're sort of like, I don't feel emotion. You know, they thought that was all big and brave. Like, no, you know, like that's just sexual energy, and now your energy's not there, and they can't find it in anyone else. They feel foolish, and they know who you are, and you were the best thing on the menu, and they try to manipulate you, and out of envy or insecurity, and some other people too. All right, I'll let that go now. Thank you so much, Archangel Michael, for being here. Please protect myself and the collective. So mote it be.